the recording. Today's topic is a work visa in the Czech Republic. I will not be answering questions that are not related. I will be answering questions at the end of the live stream as always, but today only related to this topic. This is not like an open live stream where I answer all different questions, but if you have any questions about this topic, I'll be happy to answer them at the end of the stream. Now, in any law, exact and correct terminology is one of the most important parts if you want to succeed with whatever you're trying to accomplish. And the same goes for Czech immigration. So when I hear the words work visa or work permit visa, whatever, it makes me crazy. And not because of you saying it or whatever, but because I don't know what it means. That doesn't exist. So because you know that if you come here to the live stream, or if you come to our office for a free consultation or a paid consultation, or if you ask me questions on other socials like TikTok, Instagram, and wherever, I always give my best, and I always give my the best answer based on my experience and my knowledge. But if you're not using the correct terminology, it's very difficult for me to provide a good advice. If we meet each other in person, we sit next to each other or across to each other, whatever, I can ask you questions. I can see your documents. I can clarify everything and make sure that I provide the correct advice. But if you're just online, or if you ask me a question in comments or whatever, then it's very difficult for me to answer if I don't know exactly what's going on. So let's now look into this, because the word work visa does not really exist, but different people mean different things. But generally it goes under one of the two categories. Either you get employed in the Czech Republic and you get a visa based on employment, or you get self-employed in the Czech Republic and you get visa based on the self-employment, freelancing, or živnou. So let's go into that. First, I'll tell you a bit more about the differences between employment and self-employment, because that's very important from many different perspectives. And then we'll get to the visa options you have for one or the other option. So now, employment. If we talk about employment, that generally means that you will be an employee of a Czech company. That also means that you will have an employment contract. I'm saying it specifically because that's very important. You will not just have some contract, you will not have a work contract, you will have an employment contract. And what it also means is that you have quite a lot of rights as an employee in the Czech Republic. Okay, you have some probation period, which is more for the employer to test you out, but you can also change your mind and you can leave the company, go somewhere else. So it's kind of for both sides. Then you have paid vacation. The minimum of paid vacation is 4 weeks. Most companies usually offer 5 weeks, sometimes even longer. You can have sick days, you can have other things that are still potentially paid. You also have paid sick leave. So if you're sick, you have to stay at home and you fulfill some conditions. Like, for example, you go to a doctor and ask the doctor to say that you're sick, not that just you text your boss, hey, I'm sick. But if you have some proof, then you also have paid sick leave. Also, your employer covers all your social security, all your health care, all your taxes. So you don't need to worry about this at all. So that's obviously a great situation for you generally as an employee, as a person, as a human being in the Czech Republic, but especially for those of you who are from non-EU countries, that's obviously great because everything is covered by the employer. You don't need to worry about anything. You have plenty of rights, especially compared to some countries like the US, for example, where they can fire you the next minute or whatever. In the Czech Republic, it's not like that. If the company wants to fire you, there are some rules for that. And generally, the minimum leave-in notice is 2 months. If they want to fire you sooner or whatever, they might need to give you some salaries as a bye-bye gift. So as an employee, you have a lot of rights. I will get back to the immigration part as well, but it's also easier for you to get a residence permit approved. So that's one thing. Another thing though, kind of the disadvantage of that is that employing people in the Czech Republic is generally pretty expensive for the companies. To give you an example, if you get 39,000 crowns to your bank account every month, the total cost for the employer is 67. So they pay 39 to you, an additional 28 to the government for your social security, healthcare, income tax office. So the cost is kind of significantly high, especially if you have more employees than one, then it grows pretty significantly. And also if the salary is higher, because there are also some like, anyway, that's not the purpose of the video. So that's kind of the disadvantage. And then that's also why some companies prefer hiring you as a freelancer or as a contractor and not as an employee. That's usually one of the main reasons. There might be others, but this is usually one of the big ones. Because if a company, okay, I'll get back to it. So if a company wants to hire you as a freelancer or a contractor, then you don't have an employment contract, but you usually have something in terms of like contract about provision of services or something of similar wording. Because you will not be an employee, so you cannot have any kind of employment contract, but you will be basically a service provider. There will be your clients, so there will be always something around like service provision and stuff like that. That's one thing. And that's actually a very important thing, because that also means that you will have no paid vacation, no protection like in terms of like leaving or like letting you go, let's say, no like paid sick leave, no real rights basically, because you will be basically on business to business like basis. It will be business to business relationship, and obviously if you hire a company for something, they don't get like vacation paid or anything like that. So that's very different for you than the employment situation. Also, it means that you will have to pay all the social security, healthcare, and income tax on your own. So first, you will need to pay it on monthly basis, and second, you will most likely also need to do taxes every year, and that's another kind of like situation to explain in a different video. Also, pretty important thing is that in many cases, hiring you as a contractor, as a freelancer, is illegal. No one will tell you, like definitely not the companies, they want to hire you like that. They might potentially mention it somehow that it's not like completely like kosher or whatever, but yeah, in some cases it can be very illegal, because the kind of contracting, freelancing is meant for positions where you're not in like subordinate situation. So no one can tell you, okay, come to work tomorrow, you will be here from 10 to 5, and you will be using our laptops, you will be using our like cafeteria, whatever. That's not like a freelance type of situation. If someone tells you when to come, how long to be there, what to use, that's not kind of like a freelancing situation. And that often happens because, as mentioned before, it's way cheaper for companies to hire you as a freelancer because they don't have to pay any social security, healthcare, and income tax. So if they pay you 40, they basically save 30,000 crowns compared to an employee. So, yeah, so in many cases, but if you work full-time for a company, if you use their like premises, like their offices, or it can be a restaurant or it can be anything else, but if you stay in their space, if you use their appliances, I don't know if that's the correct word, but I mean their laptop, their toilets, if they give you some, I don't know, keys from the office or chip or whatever, if you kind of more or less get the same amount of money every month to your bank account, it does not really depend on how much you work for them or whatever, then it's not how it should be, and the company should always prefer employing you instead of hiring you as a freelancer. And these things are very significant differences, and that is why using the correct terminology matters a lot. Because if you tell me I want to apply for a work visa, what should I do? Obviously, the answer will be different if you mean that you will be an employee, or if you mean that you will be a freelancer. It will be also different if you already have the offer, and now also if you're just like thinking about that, because finding an employer if you're a non-EU citizen might be more complicated than finding a freelance cooperation, but depends on what you do, obviously. So it's very important to use the correct words, correct terminology. And now let's go to the options, the visa options you have if you want to move to the Czech Republic for work. Let me just drink a bit and see the questions in the comments, so I will see if I will be answering them or not, if they are kind of like related to the topic or not. Ariane is about studies, and Manpreet, guidance for Czech Republic, work visa. Work visa, work visa, work visa. Have you not been listening to this live stream? There is nothing like a work visa, but we'll get into that now. So, basically, you now know that you can either be employed or you can be self-employed, freelancer, contractor. So now the visa options are significantly different depending on that. So let's first focus on the employment situation. In that case, you basically, if you found a real employment, meaning that they will give you an employment contract, they are fine with paying your social security, healthcare, all that, then you can apply for either an employee card or a blue card. Those are generally the two only options that are like, that cover 99% of cases. I'm not talking about like intercompany transfer, stuff like that. So in 99% of cases, you will be either applying for an employee card or a blue card. They're both kind of very similar. You always need to find a job first. You need to fulfill some requirements. Your employer must fulfill some requirements, and then you apply for one or the other. I will not go into like much details of like the differences between them. I've done a couple of videos about that. So if you are interested more in the difference between employee card, blue card, just go to my channel and like search for it, and you'll find it. But generally, employee card is meant for any type of position. So any education, any qualification, any salary level, basically anything from a cleaning lady to a CEO to software developer to whatever. Blue card is only meant for kind of like highly qualified positions. So your salary must be at least 1.5 of Czech national average, which is now about 71,000 crowns a month. And you must have at least a bachelor's degree. But then the rest is kind of similar, but again, refer to one of my previous videos if you want to know more about the differences. For the employee card, blue card, there are also some rules you need to follow if you want to change employers. So it is maybe not that flexible if you get a freelance visa. On the other hand, everything else, I think, in my opinion, it's worth it for most people, because again, employer covers everything. You have a lot of protection. You have a lot of rights as an employee. And also all the extensions of employee card, blue card are pretty straightforward. You just need to keep in mind that there are also some rules, for example, for changing employers. So you need to follow some procedures. I've done videos about that as well. So just search for changing employer, employee card, changing employee, blue card, stuff like that. You'll find it. Also, it's a bit easier now for people from the UK, Britain, New Zealand, Australia, and a couple more which have the free access to the Czech labor market. But still, employee card, blue card are the only options if you want to come here to be a local employee. Now, if you got not an employment offer, but a freelancing offer, contractor offer, you will be, or your only option basically there is a business visa or a freelance visa, self-employed visa, živno visa. There are different names for that, but it's all the same thing. You become a freelancer in the Czech Republic, you get a trade license, and then you apply for a visa based on that. Although the visa might have some advantages compared to employee cards or blue cards, it's also way harder to get it approved and to maintain. If you're, say, an English teacher from the US or from Canada, that's very simple to get, or not very simple. I don't want to make it look like it's like super easy, but it's relatively straightforward because the Czech immigration is used to that. Native English speakers come here to teach, so Czech immigration knows how to deal with that. If your business plan is different than teaching English, then it gets significantly more complicated. And the chances that you get the business visa approved, if you're of a different nationality than US, Canada, Australia, all that I mentioned, and also, or let's say, your business plan is not teaching English, then the chances that you get the business visa approved are way, way lower than for English teachers, and way, way, way lower than in case of the employee card or a blue card. So let me see if I forgot something from my notes, but I don't think so. So hopefully this video kind of explained to you what is the difference, or what might be the different meanings of work visa, and what are the different options and what are the differences, because they're, in my opinion, very significant. If you don't think so, let me know in the comments when the video is uploaded. If you think so, let me know as well. And let me see if there are any questions related to this topic. So, Kat Ignacio, ahoj Mr. Jan, I like to watch your videos, very informative, and you are really funny sometimes. I was born and raised comedian. Thank you. Manpreet, sir, we have 2-year work permit, but I'm still not able to book my appointment. Okay, that's another video theme topic, and I've done many of those. Manpreet, you have been scammed. Sorry to say, but 99.9% you have been scammed. If you paid someone for your work permit, you will never get an appointment, and you've just wasted 2 years of your time and all the money you've paid to whoever you paid. I don't mean it in a harsh way, but I get this question a lot. I try to share it everywhere, the answer. But if you're Indian, Sri Lankan, Bangladeshi, Nepali, Pakistani as well, don't pay anyone for any work permit or employment contract, work contract, because you might get it and it might be real. You will just never be able to use it because there are no available appointments at the Czech embassy in India and neither in Pakistan. Let's see, Manpreet, the employer said that this paper is not for an employee card and book appointment by themselves. If your employer books an appointment for you, that's the only way how it can work. But then the question is how long it will take to do that. Because only your employer can book an appointment for you at the embassy in India or Pakistan. So if they tell you you have to book it yourself, that's like 99.999 scam, because there is no way you can book an appointment yourself. So your employer must do it. So that's one thing. But then even if your employer does it, then the question is how long it will take, because there are simply not enough spots. So you might still wait like 1.5 years for a spot to apply. Leak. So informative, Jan, thank you, my pleasure. Aryan Singh, please answer my question. Aryan, this is not an open live stream today, so it's just topical, but I'll do an open live stream again soon, so join then and I'll be happy to answer that. Mati Aimer, why Czech Indian Embassy not giving proper appointments for working visas? That's because there are quotas. The Czech government said only 1,000 Indians can apply for an employee card every year, and all of these 1,000 Indians must go through a governmental program, which means that your employer must get an appointment for you. If your employer is not getting an appointment for you, you've been scammed and you will never get an appointment. Simplified version, for a blue card, for example, it's not like that, but for employee cards, it's like that. So unfortunately, if your employer is not booking appointments for you, you cannot book any because there are no any available. Ala Omar, how many Iraqis can apply for appointment per year? I don't know from top of my head, but if you go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, and you go to the visa section and the immigration section, whatever, entry and residence section, then you'll find it there in one of these articles. Pratikir, if there is demand, then they surely need people from India because low salaries. Well, on one hand, yes. On the other hand, there is also plenty of, I don't know how to say that, and don't sound like a dick, but there are also many people from India who try to just abuse the system, and that's what Czech Republic does not want in the Czech Republic. So they need people, but they only want serious people and not people who are just faking their applications to get to Europe and then maybe even leave the Czech Republic and go to Germany, because that's always been their goal. And that actually really happens in some countries. People fake documents. In some countries, people lie at the interviews, say that they will be doing something else that then they really want to be doing. And the government sees this and then makes the rules more complicated. So that's partially also the reason for the quotas, or partially. I think that's a big part of the reason. I'm employee here and now I want to invite my brother for a short-term visit. What should I do? That's also not really related to this topic. So guys, no more questions regarding this. So thank you very much for joining. Hopefully this was helpful. And if it was, share, like, comment, you know the drill. And I'll see you again Monday, Thursday, until the end of the world. Goodbye, guys.